Good morning. Good morning in Toronto and good afternoon in Europe. My name is Natalia Iwaszko. I'm a Vice Consul responsible for economic affairs in the Consulate General of Poland in Toronto. I have the pleasure to welcome you to our virtual conversation about innovation, both in Central and Eastern Europe and in Canada. Today's event is also a celebration of the 30th anniversary of the foundation of the Visegrad Group, which is the cooperation between four countries, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland and Slovakia. We believe there is no better way of honoring such an anniversary as by talking about the future, new ideas and the common goals that all of our countries share. Visegrad Group cooperation has been an important initiative in which the growth of a very special place. We are a region of talents, entrepreneurs, and innovation that we look to share worldwide. Today, together with our friends from Canada, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, we are going to present you with the opportunities in the innovative sectors and how our offices can help you in achieving your business goals. We hope that this meeting will provide you with knowledge and tools, but what's more important, we want to meet you and start our cooperation. All of today's speakers are going to be available after the presentation part during the networking session, and I can tell you that they cannot wait to hear your questions. Innovation in Central and Eastern Europe is going to start with the presentation from our friends from Ontario, followed by Canadian Trade Commissioners in V4 countries, with a special performance from V4 trade agencies, consulates, and even the embassy. After the presentation, I'm going to invite you to the networking part of the session, so please stay with us. Last but not least, I need to inform you that this event is recorded. I would now like to give the virtual floor to Rita Patlan and Patric, who represent Ministry of Economy, Development, Job Creation and Trade in the province of Ontario. Rita and Patric are area directors specializing in European markets. Without further ado, Rita and Patric.
Thank you, Natalia. I'm just going to bring up my presentation. Please. Are you able to see the slides?
Not yet.
One more time. Upload.
Perfect.
Yet?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Natalia, for inviting us today to this great event. Patric and I are with the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, which is responsible for the economy, growth and job creation in Ontario, making Ontario as a place where business grows and thrives by amplifying the Open for Business platform. It is also responsible for driving awareness of the province internationally to secure global partnerships in trade, investment, and innovation. We, both Patrick and I, are with the Export Growth Branch. Unfortunately, our other colleague, Philip, could not join us today. He covers the ICT sector, but we have a few slides that he has provided us. The Export Growth Branch is responsible for creating programs and services to help Ontario exporters succeed in foreign markets, and which is also responsible for helping foreign companies navigate the Ontario landscape for Ontario-made and proven technologies and source for local suppliers and partners. We will provide more information in later slides, but first let me give you an update on how CETA has impacted the collaboration between Ontario and Central and Eastern Europe. We will also provide an overview of Ontario's strongest industries and in more details provide you with an overview of the industry sector I just mentioned. This slide shows Ontario's main exports to the EU, and as you can see, pharmaceutical, agricultural, industrial machinery, and chemical products account for 40% of Ontario's trade with the EU. Ontario's intake of products and services from the EU is mainly in pharmaceuticals, industrial machinery, agriculture, auto, chemical products, medical devices, ICT, and aerospace, which together account for 62% of Ontario's imports from the EU. These are Ontario's, CETA has worked effectively to increase Ontario's exports to the EU in Ontario, and Ontario suppliers have become more integrated with the EU supply chain. Ontario's businesses have performed significantly better than their EU counterparts in terms of using the CETA to facilitate their exports. And I've just provided you with some stats on the 2019 trade between Ontario, Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia. The following slides shows you Ontario's strongest industry sectors. The strength of these industry sectors is further supported by having a strong foundation of academic research and research centers, incubators, accelerators, and demonstration hubs that are helping these industry ecosystems grow. I now invite Patrick, my colleague, to provide you with an overview of Ontario's life sciences sector in more detail. Patrick, over to you.
Thanks, Rita. Ontario's life science sector makes significant contributions to the economy. Ontario ranks 7th in North America in terms of life sciences employment and 8th by the number of life sciences establishments. The sector includes small and medium-sized companies developing diagnostics, biopharmaceuticals, medical devices, and more increasingly digital and e-health. About 51% of Canadian life sciences R&D spending occurs in Ontario, and the world's top 10 pharmaceutical companies by revenue, as well as others, conduct a lot of their clinical trials in Ontario. Ontario possesses a wealth of capabilities to support the development of a robust medtech sector. The environment of collaboration here is second to none and has resulted in many transformative initiatives. Medtech innovators in Ontario not only improve patient outcomes for Canadian and international citizens, they're highly trained, have access to world-class R&D resources, and are equipped to tap into the medtech market in Canada and worldwide. Canada's life sciences and ICT clusters provide a digital health sector with high-quality talents, diverse sources of capital, and abundant opportunities for partnerships. Ontario has a dynamic ecosystem of partners, which include hospitals, research centers, universities, technology incubators, startups, scientists, and multinational collaborations that help advance the digital health and innovation and adoption. The EU provides about 30% of the world market for medical technology, and digital health and health IT is one of the fastest growing areas in Europe's life sciences sector. Opportunities in digital health have been fueled by new health strategies, stimulus packages, and adoption of new technologies, and an increasing recognition of technologies under the CE mark and reimbursement processes. Growth in Europe in the life sciences sector has even been further accelerated by COVID-19, making it a logical region to pursue export opportunities. Leading subsectors include apps, wearable technologies, mobile health, health and data analytics, AI technologies, remote consultation, and mobile devices. Despite large investments and other funding in the past decade from the EU, a substantial gap in research performance and innovation potential persists between Eastern and Western European Union countries. The life sciences sector in the CEE area and the V4 region in particular is accelerating faster than most other places in Europe, presenting opportunities for Ontario companies. Now back to you, Rita, for clean tech.
Thank you. Ontario has the largest clean tech and environmental sector in Canada by employment and contribution to Canada's GDP. In 2019, Ontario had 134,000 employees working in approximately 5,000 environmental and clean tech technology companies. Ontario's Made in Ontario environmental plan is a roadmap to preserving and protecting our land, air, and water, addressing litter and reducing waste, and supporting the people of Ontario as we work towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This environmental plan will continue to evolve as a living document to address the environmental priorities of Ontarians as new information, ideas, and innovations emerge. Ontario's clean tech advantage is its ability to help local innovators through its proven capabilities, which in turn accelerate the growth of companies and their capabilities, speeds up commercialization of product services, and fosters future innovation and investment by creating quality and long-term next-generation jobs in Ontario. This enables ongoing cluster development and in turn increased competitiveness across multiple sectors. Opportunities in the EU have been fueled by standardized smart city frameworks and pan-European smart city projects and healthy EU sources of funding for smart cities. Rapid economic development and urbanization have resulted in better energy efficiency solutions, and water scarcity and increasing costs are driving a trend towards zero liquid discharge, smart water reuse, and resource recovery technologies. However, numerous funding resources and public entities make for a complex environment to navigate, and Ontario companies have to be ready. Other obstacles like the failure by the EU community to recognize other international standard bodies limits the application of equivalent Canadian technologies, and this further complicates the entry path for Ontario companies. And now we're going to jump to the ICT sector.
Ontario is an IT powerhouse. It's the second largest IT cluster in North America, generating $43 billion in GDP, $7.4 billion in exports, and consisting of nearly 24,000 firms employing 320,000 highly educated workers. It is also a research and development heavy sector with close to $3 billion on R&D, with ICT industry giants like Amazon, IBM, Google, Cisco, and Shopify having invested in major operations here in Ontario. The number of ICT subsectors where Ontario has a high level of expertise and critical mass of companies, such as fintech, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, telecom, 5G, and other mobile technologies, which have been one of Ontario's key ICT subsectors for years. Ontario's expertise in artificial intelligence and mobile technologies is well positioned to cater to the growing demand for advanced technologies in fintech, cybersecurity, and 5G and connectivity in Europe. Demand for AI-driven technologies is primarily aimed at operational efficiencies and product development in industries, including financial services, telecommunications, and automotive, with Ontario expertise well aligned with these growth sectors. Increased adoption of data and connectivity technology across all sectors in Europe has been fueling extensive demand for cybersecurity solutions, further accelerated by COVID-19 as a driver of digitalization, smart production, and remote work. I'd also like to highlight Ontario's rapidly growing expertise in industrial IoT and business optimization solutions such as digital twin, predictive maintenance, and virtual reality, which have attracted significant demand from European advanced manufacturing businesses.
As mentioned at the start of this presentation, the ministry is responsible for driving awareness of the province internationally to secure global partnerships in trade, investment, and innovation. It has created programs and services you see in this table that help new early stage exporters as well as new to market and experienced exporters expand their business within Canada and globally. The ministry's export growth branch provides companies one-on-one advice on exporting, assess their potential in specific markets, assists in developing their export strategy, connects them with qualified contacts in foreign markets, and assists them in resolving market access problems. It organizes seminars, webinars, and workshops that are tailored to help Ontario exporters in foreign markets. And our branch typically organizes approximately 80 business trade missions around the world and also supports incoming business delegations. To help us with this, the ministry operates 16 Ontario trade and investment offices around the world. And these offices are engaged in attracting foreign direct investment, facilitating business connections, providing in-market expertise and intelligence, and identifying supporting research, technology, and innovation partnerships. In addition to working with our Ontario Trade and Investment offices, we also have a strong relationship with the trade commissioners around the world who help us deliver programs in markets where we don't have our own offices and help our Ontario clients find partners and clients in their respective markets. If you want to access information about upcoming export business missions, incoming buyers, or our seminars and webinars, we invite you to visit our international trade calendar. And the source from Ontario website below is primarily used to showcase an event, delegations, and partner information where you may find video greetings and sector videos, downloadable materials, industry profiles, and company directories. That's it, Natalia. Thank you. And I've provided some contact information for the three of us that cover specific sectors for Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rita and Patrick. It's always a pleasure to look at your presentation and learn about how Ontario is supporting companies abroad. Now, I would like to give the virtual floor to our next specialist, Jose Antonio Santoyo, who is the Director for Trade and Investment at the Toronto Region Board of Trade. So, Jose, the floor is yours.
Natalia, and thank you very much. Great to see Patrick and Rita there as well. Good morning. I'm sorry, you all look very fresh and you dressed up and everything else. I'm still in COVID mood. I'm just wearing polos, so I'm making the best out of this year because I know in a matter of a couple of months, I'm gonna go back to suiting up every day and wearing a tie every day. So I'm trying to make the best out of it. I hope you don't mind. And thank you very much for the time. I think that Patrick and Rita were very, very good at portraying the potential that this region has, and especially the opportunities that you're gonna find. I'm not gonna make it complicated. I'm just gonna basically go in and talk to you a little bit about our organization that is gonna give you a little bit of an idea of how the ecosystem looks down here, and 4 reasons where you should consider Southern Ontario, not only Toronto, Southern Ontario as an option for you and your business. Let me just share my screen here. Is this okay? Can you see it? Yes, I think that you can. Let me just make this screen. There we go. So that being said, Toronto is Canada's economic engine. And when I say Toronto, then again, I say Southern Ontario. It's a city that is very similar in the way that it's spread out to Tokyo or to LA or to Mexico City. It's not just everything in downtown Toronto. It happens, up to 70 miles around Toronto, what we call the Innovation Corridor, and that pretty much covers Southern Ontario. And I want to give you a little bit of context of what's going on with us as a country, what's going on with Canada. And for you to understand that there is an opportunity for you to come here and bring in that value. Most of our exports, as you can see in this graphic, are related to raw materials or to very little added value processes That's what we send to the world. And what we're attracting from the world, what we're importing, is basically high added value manufactured products or services that we bring into the economy. Therefore, everything that is related to technology and innovation is two things. One, we need it, we want it, we'll buy it. This proves it. And also, we want to have it, we want to host it, we want to own it as well, because that is what we need in order to grow in a sustainable manner for the future. So then again, innovating here is just not something that we need, that we want, and that we will buy, but it's something that we're interested in, attracted in helping you grow with it. Your expertise is good expertise for us, and the government at all levels, local, provincial, and federal, is very interested that the technology sector keeps growing. So you're going to find a very friendly space here to either collaborate, sell your products, come and add value to your products, do your products here, or even raise capital here. You will find a very friendly environment. As I said, Toronto and Southern Ontario is the economic powerhouse. And most of the economic activity in Canada happens around here. We have 38% of the business headquarters, Canadian business headquarters are located here. This is from our friends at Toronto Global. We're close to 6 million people in the GTA, the Greater Toronto area. So the metropolitan area is the 4th largest city after Mexico City, LA, and New York. And 1/5 of Canada's GDP is created in this region. So I always say, when you think about Canada, especially when you think about Canada from the technology perspective, of course, Montreal plays a great role, and they're doing an awesome job. But the reality is that things are happening in Southern Ontario, what we call the Toronto Waterloo Corridor, or the Innovation Corridor, that goes from Toronto all the way down to Waterloo and Kitchener. I'm going to show you that later. And our bet is very clear. It's very clear into what the region wants to do from all different sectors. The Toronto Region Board of Trade is the oldest and largest chamber of commerce in Canada. 175 years that the organization has existed. And this is a little bit of an overview of our membership. We're 15,000 members. And you can see that from those 15,000 members, most of them are small companies. So we're talking about between 1 and 50 employees. And if you go all the way up to 1 to 10, 1 to 100 employees, we pretty much have 50% of our companies represented. A lot of companies that are going through processes of growth. Therefore, then again, this is a great place to come and find what you're looking if you want to grow and if you want to grow fast. Now, technology and technology-related services and products, you'll find that that's also close to 50% of our membership. In the lower left side, you'll see that the first 4 sectors, which pretty much is close to 50% of our membership, is related to technology. And when we talk about technology, we're not necessarily talking about chips and artificial intelligence. We're talking about any kind of product or service that helps increase efficiency of a process. That is technology, right? So I'm going to give you some reasons of why you should consider this region. I think one that's super important is talent for growing business. University of Toronto, up to I think it was last year or the year before that one, was the university that provided most of the CEOs of Silicon Valley. We have amazing graduates going out of our university every year, and our universities in terms of technology are one of the highest ranked in the world. If our employees are good for Silicon Valley, if our employees are good enough to bring Uber and Google into the region, that also means that they could be great for you. It's a great place to come and find good talent that is not the most expensive talent like you will find in Bali or that you will find in Austin or New York. It's way more affordable, and you have the best of the best going on. So I think that that's something super important to understand, that you can find an opportunity to grow your business better and with great talent that's not necessarily gonna destroy your bank account. Now we're a competitive city compared to other cities where you're gonna find the opportunity to go and grow and sell your services and work in your company. We are way more competitive than those. You can see here, We pretty much rank amazingly between first, second, or third. The most important things to consider when doing business or when moving a company, when having operations in another region, right? Things like corporate tax, fiscal tax, legal costs, transportation, corporate tax, facility costs, and research and development costs. I think they're all very, very important for you to consider. And the other thing is, you don't have to sacrifice the idea of, oh, I think that I will do great selling in the U.S. or the U.S. is my main objective because it's huge. Yeah, it's huge with 35 million people compared to 370, 380 that the U.S. is. I get that. And Boston, New York are amazing places, and the Valley is an amazing place. Austin is becoming what it's becoming. But then again, Toronto is there. Within 1 hour flight, you can be pretty much everywhere in the Northeast. And with all the Brazilian connections that you have to the US, you pretty much can be whatever you want very quickly, very cheap. And with the free trade agreement of North America, NAFTA, CUSMA, however you want to call it, you can just deal with American companies and American clients whenever you want, however you want. So just that geographical position, but also the free trade agreement infrastructure allows you to include the US as part of your market, even if you operate in Toronto. So I think that that's also a great moving or exploring the idea of Toronto and Southern Ontario is not just for Canada, it's also opening the opportunity for the company for the United States. The reason number 4 that I find super important here as well is diversity. And I know that there's Brazilian places that they call themselves diverse, right? And we have here just in the give me 1 second because the room is closed. Just give me 1 second. One of the organizers is calling me for some reason. Romy, can you hear me? Oh, is it cutting off?
Jose, we had some difficulty to hear you, so that was the call about.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's perfect. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. Do you hear this part, like the part of the geographical location? Was that okay?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so I'll move on then. Thank you. That was, technology happens all the time. I was saying, reason 4, for us, diversity is something very important. I'm a true believer that when you want something to actually move forward and bring great ideas, you need to bring people to think differently. You cannot go and try to explore how to do something better if you just, discuss that with people that have the same way of seeing the world and the same way of solving problems. You need to change cosmovisions in the way that you approach something to find new solutions and to be an actual innovator. And I think that for that, diversity plays a huge role. And even though you have here that there are other places that most of the population was foreign born, like Miami, Los Angeles, or the Bay Area, you will find when you go to those places that, yes, probably 45% of people in Los Angeles were not born in the United States. But most of them have been born in just 1 or 2 cultures, and that's it. Most of them coming, for example, from Latin America. And they already have a lot of things in common, which is great and brings a lot of diversity for them. But here in Toronto, it's even more than that. It's not that we have a specific group of people that is very representative. We have people from all over the world. You call the name, they live here. Everyone is here. And that brings a lot of interesting opportunities there. And I think that is just amazing and allows companies to grow very nicely and to come up with great ideas and innovate properly. I think that that's something that Toronto offers like no other place in the world. Now, I'll say that, of course, there's some things that we're better at, and there's some things that other places will be better at. If you're focused on these 5 sectors, I think that you're in the right place when you think about Toronto. I mean, technology within, digital media, gaming, artificial intelligence, and all the different applications. And again, technology being an understanding technology as any product or service that increases the efficiency of something That is what we consider technology. Then advanced manufacturing, financial services, food and beverage, and life sciences and healthcare. I think that if you're in any of those sectors or related to any of those sectors, if you look at Toronto, you're in the right direction. Talking about technology, because I know that this specific conference is related to innovation, we're one of the largest tech clusters, and it's simple to see. Around 15,000 tech companies, including more than 5,000 startups, and close to 300,000 employees directly in the high-tech industries. But if we talk about indirect jobs that are created through that, I don't know, the number should be like beyond 1 million people. Definitely not the size of the Valley, of Silicon Valley yet, but our pace of growth is way higher than their pace of growth right now. So we truly believe that this is the right moment to come here and be part of something that is proven, that is going to happen, but you're still coming in cheap and easy and in a good moment before it becomes unaffordable and complicated and difficult to get in like the Valley is right now. Now, all of this that I was talking to you about, there you go. Waterloo, Toronto, that is around 70 miles where everything happens. And there you have a beautiful integration of, large companies, medium-sized companies, small and micro enterprises working together and supplying for each other, but also the universities and the other and the big accelerators are there. Also, including the fact that all of Canadian banks, or at least all of the major banks, are based here in Toronto. So you have the whole ecosystem, you have the money, and everything is in just one place, which makes it very convenient to consider this place to do business in, but also to consider to even open an office and try to do some research and development or cooperation with other companies. Finally, as I was saying, all of the big banks are located here, so access to capital is very easy. Money is very cheap compared to other countries, especially coming from Europe. Right now, money is very, very cheap. And investment, I'll say Canadians are a little bit more risk adverse than Americans. That is true, but they are less risk adverse than European banks. So you're gonna find a great opportunity to get, to raise capital here from the bazillion different tools, from venture capitals to established banks to innovation banks to even family offices and angel investors. You will find that here for sure. Now, we invite you to take a look. We invite you to come here at our office. We can help you explore ideas, connect you with people. We don't have the answers to everything, but we pride ourselves to at least know who can give you that answer. So happy to put you in touch. There's a million ways that you can come here. You have programs like Startup Here Toronto. You have a wonderful office in Invest Ontario, the province, and many programs that are designed for you to come here, like the Startup Visa. It's actually very simple if you compare it to other countries. I'm not going to say this is something that you can just do in a matter of a couple of weeks. Of course, it takes time, and you need to put together, but the instruments exist. The cases of many successful people being able to go through that process is there. So we can help you out. We can guide you to the right people for you to explore that avenue. It's simple compared to other countries, as I mentioned, and it's definitely worth it. So very happy to connect with you. And if you have any questions or want to connect with us, we can definitely guide you. We can definitely guide you to that process, and we'll be very happy to do so whenever you feel like you're ready to join us here.
Thank you very much, Jose. Thank you for your presentation. Patric, Rita, and Jose are going to be with us during the networking part, so you can ask them more questions regarding the programs and the work. And now I would like to give the virtual floor to Romi Jaszczyński, who is my colleague and friend. He is a business development manager from Polish Investment and Trade Agency. Romi will share with us a brief information about Visegrad Group, and that means that we are opening the European part of our event.
All right. Hey, everyone. You guys can hear me okay? Okay, just getting the presentation open. Hit share. All right, I think we're okay. Everyone can hear me, you can see the presentation. Hope so. All right. So good morning. As Natalia mentioned, my name is Romy Oszczynski. I work for the Polish Investment and Trade Agency in Toronto. And I'm just going to give you a quick 2-minute overview of the Visegrad Group, or V4 region, from a business perspective. As Natalia mentioned, and some of our friends earlier mentioned, the V4 Group consists of 4 countries in Central and Eastern Europe: Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia. And I want to make sure that everyone is aware that the countries are listed in this presentation in alphabetical order and not in order of importance. Otherwise, we may have seen Poland at the top of that list. And I also promise that this is the only shameless plug I have prepared for Poland today. So before my colleagues go further in depth about each country in the V4 region, I wanted to give you a few points on what makes the region so special from the perspective of a seller, buyer, and potential investor in the region. First of all, the location of the V4 countries is very strategic. By land, you have major transportation routes connecting Western and Eastern Europe and Asia. By sea, you have the Danube River and Baltic Sea connecting you and your goods to other major ports in Europe and around the world. While by air, you have access to multiple major airports servicing around 100 million passengers a year. And that's expected to almost double within the next 10 years. Also, when we look at the economic growth and market size, the V4 region is the fastest growing region in the European Union in terms of GDP growth. We have a combined market of around 64 million people, and GDP per capita is approximately $25,000 and growing. And this means that we're a large growing region with an increasing amount of disposable income. Not only that, but as a Canadian seller, you'll find less saturation and competition than you would in countries such as France, Italy, and Germany, for example. Your products are well received in this region, and our region is often overlooked as a strategic business destination by many countries and companies due to their unfamiliarity with its potential. On the other end, through CETA, as a Canadian buyer, you have the opportunity to easily obtain services and import tariff-free products and components, which are cheaper than Western Europe, but are of the same or higher quality. And many people don't realize that when they buy German or French products, for example, they are often private labeled goods that are made in the V4 region. And then finally, as an investor, our V4 region offers the best incentives in the EU for your brownfield and greenfield investments. And we have a very highly educated workforce with great language skills. So that's really all I wanted to say today. And now that we kind of have an understanding of what the V4 region looks like as a whole from a business perspective, I'd like to invite some of the trade commissioners from the respective regions and V4 country representatives to dive a little bit deeper into what each country has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Romy. Romy promised me it's going to be really fast, and that was true. Staying in Europe, I would like to give the floor, as Romy mentioned, to Canadian trade commissioners who work in V4 countries in our region, and they can bring us their perspective on the innovation in our countries. This session will be opened by Barbara Florkova, and she is representing Trade Commissioner Service of Canada to the Czech Republic. Barbara? There she is.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. I hope it works. Good morning to Canada and good afternoon to Europe. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. Being the first of Trade Commissioner colleagues to speak, I would like to briefly introduce us. Trade Commissioners are free services of Government of Canada, and we are active in more than 160 markets all over the world, including, of course, all V4 countries. We'll help Canadian companies to uncover opportunities at the international markets. We offer services to Canadian companies. We can help you assess market potential. We can help you prepare for internationalization and international markets. We can help you find qualified contacts at the respective markets, and we can also help you resolve problems if any occur. I would also like to invite you to visit our website, tradecommissioners.gc.ca, where you can find contacts to our colleagues at the markets of your interest. And for example, for the Czech Republic, we have just recently published S&T market report that can give you a better overview of the market and the situation. For the Czech Republic wants to become a new innovation leader in the new innovation strategy that it adopted for the period of 2019 to 2030. It commits to increase public spending on R&D to 3% of GDP. Really, Czech Republic aims to allocate more public finances to R&D. Most of R&D in the Czech Republic is conducted or performed by businesses, by private sector. In the last decade, the number of entities in the Czech Republic active in R&D has grown by 40%, which is quite significant growth. R&D is concentrated in the Czech Republic, of course, in the capital city of Prague, which is followed by Brno, second biggest city, and then South Bohemian and Central Bohemian region. As for the areas of R&D excellence of the Czech Republic and where we see a potential for R&D cooperation with Canada, I would like to point out artificial intelligence, but my colleagues Eva and David will be talking more about it in their presentation. Then also cybernetics, for example. Czech Institute of Informatics, Robotics and Cybernetics at Czech Technical University has within 1 week after the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in the Czech Republic developed a respirator that is reusable and can be printed on 3D printers, just to give you an example. Another field would be life sciences, medicine and biotechnologies with the 3 so-called European centers of excellence operating in the Czech Republic. And I would also like to mention nuclear energy with the top technology center, UJV Řeš. This one is a leader in the region, for example, in production of radiopharmaceuticals, and they are also conducting the research, for example, hydrogen technologies used for transportation, and they are active in many other areas. There actually is already existing cooperation in R&D between Canada and Czech Republic, and an example of good practices, I would like to mention Delta program, which is in the Czech Republic administered by Technology Agency of the Czech Republic. At this moment, Delta program is available to companies from Alberta and Quebec. The next call for project proposals will be open in mid-May. I will be looking forward to the networking session and to exploring the opportunities of cooperation with our Canadian partners. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, thank you very much for the invitation.
So we are still, thank you very much for your presentation. We are still staying in Czech Republic. And now I would like to give the floor to my friend, Eva Jungmanova, who is the investment specialist at the Consulate General of Czech Republic in Toronto. And also for the networking part, David Miller, who is commercial consular for the consulate, is also going to be available. So prepare your best questions for both of them.
Thank you, Natalia. and warm welcome to all of you from the Czech Consulate in Toronto and Czech Invest Agency. I will just share my screen, my presentation. I hope you can see it now. So I will follow up on Barbara's introduction with few examples of important industries and initiatives which are currently shaping the Czech innovative ecosystem. Czech Republic has been historically one of the most industrialized countries in Europe. There is significant amount of machine production companies. So of course, as automation or digitalization and all the principles of Industry 4.0, as we call it, are very important for our economy. Also, Czech-based companies see Industry 4.0 as crucial for their future development. And most of them plan to invest in new technologies more than 10% of total investment in future years. So this is, of course, a great opportunity for all companies offering new innovative solution in this area. Great example of Czech company with international success is Prusa Research, which is well known also in Canada. It is producer of open source 3D printers, and the founder, Josef Prusa, recently had been also awarded as the Czech Entrepreneur of the Year. This company is highly innovative, but also had very impressive action during the current pandemic, when at the beginning they immediately took action and implemented strict measures in production to flatten the curve and keep the production running, and many companies learned from them. And they also helped Czech government with the initial massive shortage of protective equipment, when in the first 3 days they were able to design and print face shields and give it out for free to frontline workers. Another innovative industry connected with Czech Republic is definitely nanotech, where Czechs have many impressive achievements. And you can see also that the application of nanotechnology is very wide in the Czech Republic. Talking about the current pandemic, I would mention for sure the increased use of nanofibers in protective equipment, as for example, nanomasks. When talking about innovations, we for sure must mention artificial intelligence. This field of research is not a new thing in Czech Republic. It actually started already 60 years ago when computational linguistics has arisen at Charles University. Nowadays, the scientific community is very strong, and there are many university AI centers. Most of them are located in the two largest cities, Prague and Brno, which are also considered to be Czech technology hubs with big concentration of Czech and international IT companies and talents. A few years ago, Czech AI scientists visiting Canada got inspired by local 3 institutes, Mila, Vector, and Amy, and decided together with City of Prague to establish similar institute in the Czech Republic. It's called Prague AI. And currently it gathers 110 companies. Brno got inspired as well very soon, and now we have another institute in Brno as well. Here are just some examples of AI Czech-based companies with application in various industries. But the Czech AI gained international recognition mainly in areas like machine perception, NLP, intelligent robotics, or automatic reasoning. And the current AI Czech ecosystem is really booming, and we can see also many talents who are coming back home from locations like California or other parts of the world to share their knowledge and help us to build a community. And lastly, I would like to mention a new initiative which has been recently approved by the Czech government. It's quite a big investment into 7 new innovation hubs, which are expected to start their operations this year. The whole idea started with the business incubator by European Space Agency, which has been placed to Prague in 2016. Thanks to the country's big potential in space industry. Czech Republic is very active member of ESA. Over 50 companies are working on European space projects, and also the European Global Space Global Satellite Agency is headquartered in Prague. The incubator became very popular and recently also opened another branch in Brno. And within the 5 years, it incubated 31 startups. This project is going to continue in future years, in next years, with extended support, both direct and indirect, public support from national resources. And it's going to be called Space Hub. And this success inspired the Czech government to open other hubs in other significant Czech industries, which you can see here in the presentation. This is not only for Czech companies, also companies from other countries from all around the world are more than welcome to join these hubs. So if you have any question regarding this or other industries, please join us in our Czech Republic table. We're going to be me and my colleague David. But for now, let me thank you for your attention, and now I will give floor to my colleagues from other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you for your presentation. Now, very fast, we are moving to Budapest. So I would like to give the virtual floor to the Senior Trade Commissioner of Canada to Hungary, Mr. Martin Barat.
Here, hope everybody can hear me. Good afternoon to everybody who is joining us today from Europe, and a good morning to all of us back in Canada. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. As Barbara already gave a good overview of the services of the Canadian Trade Commissioner Service, I'll just focus on a couple of things before speaking about innovation opportunities in Hungary. Mainly that Hungary, if you're a Canadian exporter looking to export to Europe, it's an excellent location, not just for Hungary itself, but access to the wider Central and Southeastern European markets. We work very closely with our colleagues in other countries in the region, both in the V4 and beyond, Romania, Slovenia, where we also help Canadian companies, the Balkans, and so forth. So if you're looking to export here and you're looking for warehousing opportunities, consider Hungary as an opportunity, and we at the Trade Commissioner Service here with my colleagues, I'll be more than happy to help you. But speaking about Hungary specifically in the innovation space, and I don't want to repeat a lot of what you've heard earlier from the excellent presentations, both from our Ontario colleagues and partners and from the other trade commissioners. But like the other members of the V4, Hungary is really booming in the innovation space. Industries which are benefiting from this include pharmaceuticals, the ICT sector, and I'll speak about that in greater depth in a moment. Petroleum, the oil and gas industry. You might not think of Hungary as an oil and gas company, but they have a strong industry here, and certainly not only within Hungary, but working in different countries. The automotive sector. We have Canadian companies active in Hungary, but of course we also have the large manufacturers here, Mercedes, Audi, Suzuki, BMW is building a plant here. The services sector, financial, insurance, and of course advanced manufacturing, where a lot is going on. I'll focus first on the opportunities in clean tech and climate change, which of course is very important. Hungary had just recently adopted a new national energy and climate strategy, and it has the goal of phasing out coal by 2025, increasing solar capacity to 600 megawatts, and reaching 90% carbon neutral electricity production by 2030. There are opportunities for Canadian companies. We do have the technology, and Hungary is looking for that. The new energy strategy also has an ambitious plan targeting an increased 60% share of renewable energy resources in Hungary's district heat production by 2030. So the opportunities for businesses in clean tech, in renewables, include solutions for the integration of renewable energy resources in district heat production, including biomass, geothermal, and communal waste. Real-time monitoring, smart metering, controlling data processing technologies and existing water utilities, district heating and electricity distribution networks. Again, renewable energy integration, energy storage technologies, green transportation technologies, including electric vehicles and hydrogen, and carbon capture and storage technologies. And that's just in clean tech, where we see many opportunities. In ICT itself, or the information and communication technologies, of course, that's a very broad term covering many sectors and subsectors. It's one of the most stable segments of the Hungarian economy, and it's also one of the strongest thanks to innovative research and targeted funding programs such as the Digital National Development Program. The sector contributes about 5% to Hungary's GDP, 400,000 jobs. And a lot, of course, has happened in the past year, due to the worldwide pandemic and the moving to remote working in Hungary, as well as, of course, in Canada. We're all very familiar with that, unfortunately. But it also means innovation in areas such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and so on. Hungary has 23 significant technology clusters across the country, and last year imported about $20.6 million Canadian, focused mainly on electronic devices, including cellular, laptops, computers, routers, etc. And of course, there are well-known companies in Hungary in this space, such as Prezi, Kurtcello, Lugman, and others. Of course, I mentioned artificial intelligence briefly. In that space, in September of last year, Hungary presented its AI strategy, and it focuses on self-driving vehicles. There is a test track in the southwest of the country, the Zalazon track, and our Hungarian colleagues and partners who are here today will be able to pronounce the name of the city. I won't try, but it's up and running. It's the Zalazon testing ground. Offers a complete testing facility. So if you're in the automotive space or looking for opportunities to get involved in autonomous driving and looking for areas for testing, Zalazon offers a complete testing facility, including city, urban, and motorway environments. And what's very interesting, and gives them an advantage, the possibility to a joint agreement between Hungary, Austria, and Slovenia to test the effects on smart autonomous car systems crossing borders and hence transferring mobile networks. Zalazon already is working with Mercedes, Audi, and Suzuki locally. As I mentioned, there are three of the automotive manufacturers who have production facilities here in Hungary. And they have partnership agreements with the universities in Graz, Austria, and Maribor. And they also are looking to partner up with Canadian companies, Canadian higher education institutions, and there is an MOU in place between Carleton University and the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. On the infrastructure side, in the past few years, Hungary's implemented several new measures to increase the country's energy efficiency, as I mentioned earlier, with respect to clean tech, in the transport, services, residential, and industrial sectors. And these are measures that have been financed by various what I call operational programs, financed both by Hungarian resources and European Union cohesion funds. And smart cities is another area where Hungary is doing a lot. It has peers in several government programs, including Digital Welfare Program, the Modern Cities Program, and others. And under the Modern Cities Program, it's a development project running until 2022. It's got a budget of $12 billion, and it's available for 250 projects in 23 municipalities across Hungary. Smart mobility, Hungary's looking into or working on intelligent transportation systems that are being installed in several cities, smart and healthy living lifestyles, smart buildings and construction, including LEED buildings. In the life sciences sector, and I'm trying to wrap this up fairly quickly, the number of pharmaceutical and medical technology employees exceeds 48,000 in 50 export-driven medical manufacturers. There's local strength in clinical trials of new innovative drugs and the development of biopharmaceuticals, in vitro diagnostics, animal biotech, biorefineries, and the use of bioreactors. And I am missing something here. Second. Yeah, and there's been significant work done and results in nanotech, molecular chemistry, and biotech services. Leading pharmaceutical companies located in Hungary that Canadian companies may be interested in working with include Gideon Richter, Aegis, Amgen, Seculab, and others. And of course, and I won't take much more time, but also medical device suppliers could also benefit from a proposal aimed at redeveloping Budapest hospitals by 2025. So there's a lot going on here. And I guess, okay, Natalia's back. I wonder, I'm running out of time here. Anyway, there are lots of market opportunities in the fields of sophisticated health technologies, equipment, dental care equipment, and many other devices. So I won't go on. I will be in the networking session if you want to talk to me and find out more. And I can put you in touch with with the specific trade commissioners responsible for the different sectors. But the point I want to leave you with is there are opportunities in this region that sometimes Canadian companies aren't aware of or do not consider when looking at Europe. Please do. Please get in touch with us. Reach us through the Trade Commissioner website. You can reach us through our embassy website, which you can find through Google, and we are here to help.
Thank you, Martin. It was a lot of information, so I hope all of our participants are getting ready to ask you even more questions during the networking time. Now I'm giving the virtual floor to Mate Igas, who is the Deputy Head of the Mission, Economic and Trade Attaché at the Consulate General of Hungary in Toronto. Mate?
Hello, Natalia. Hello, everybody. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just give a short overview of the Hungarian health and biotech sector, and I've tried to share my presentation. In Hungary, the healthcare sector is a long-established industry. It goes back over 100 years, and its reputation built in the 20th century. The international markets shows an increasing interest in the Hungarian healthcare developments. The manufacturers are the major players in the medical device segment. In 2019, for instance, the Hungarian companies exported more than 1.5 billion euro worth of medical devices, and part of this was sold in non-EU markets. You can see on my presentation the top products like the CT machines, RX, laboratory diagnostic equipments, and Holters, laparoscope, surgery, and instruments, and a lot more. And the biotechnology is one of the top strategic sectors for national development, and the global recognition of Hungarian biotech companies has been increasing. Some of them have become market leaders in niche segments, focusing on health industry, green economy, science, technology, and of course, innovation. And I would like to give a short overview, one of a great Hungarian innovation success from the last couple of years, the femtonics, the two photomicroscopy solution. Sorry for that, my presentation. Just a moment. So the femtonics is an innovative two photomicroscopy manufacturer. These microscopes are used in academic life sciences, mainly in neuroscience, because the two photon technology allows the researchers to penetrate deeper into the tissue. The femtonics is a unique, as they are the first company that made the real 3D random access scanning commercially available for researchers worldwide. And more than 120 systems are already installed around the world. The company has 44 patents, and it always works as innovative solution which can be applied in science and later in the medical field. And as you can see, the Hungarian health and biotech sector has a high level of innovation, and this provides many cooperation opportunities for Canadian businesses. Moreover, I would like to thank you for the Femtonics leadership's attendance and the Hungarian companies participating in the event. After the presentation, you will have the chance to start discussion with the Hungarian companies in the networking part of the event. And we hope that in the near future, we can start the discussion with you, and we can discuss about more opportunities in the region. You can find my contact and the contact of my colleagues in the HEPA office. Thank you for your attention. Natalia, I try to be short as possible.
Perfect, Mate, you are a star. But while we are still virtually in Hungary, I would like to give the floor to our special guest today. Hope he can hear us and connect with us. I would like to give this virtual floor to Mr. Ben Varadi, who is a co-founder of Spin Master. Ben is currently Executive Vice President and Chief Creative Officer. He has been featured as a top 40 under 40 executives for his achievement in Canada and around the world. And Spin Master is a Canadian global company famous for toys, entertainment, and games. I hope I didn't forget about anything. Spin Master operates around the world, but also has his offices in V4 countries. And we asked Ben to talk only good about our region. So Ben, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, it's an honor to be here. I feel like listening to you guys talk about energy and artificial intelligence. I don't feel quite up to the task. I'm only going to talk about toys. So our company started in 1994, almost 30 years ago. And so I'm just going to, for 1 minute, it's funny because when I sat down a few days ago and I said, well, what am I going to talk about? And I started to prepare. I then thought to myself, well, you know what? I'm telling the story of my life. So hopefully it's all inside. So we started about, we started in 1994, almost 30 years ago. And it was a real time of change in the toy industry, because up until that point, for the last 50 years prior, there have been so many different toy companies, right? Hundreds of toy companies. And what started to happen was there was a lot of consolidation. So companies like Mattel and Hasbro, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, they started to buy up all the other toy companies. So you take a toy company like Fisher-Price, I'm sure many of you have heard of that. That was purchased by Mattel. And then Milton Bradley, which was a games company, was purchased by Hasbro, and Parker Brothers was purchased by Hasbro and Play School. These had all been independent companies. And so the toy industry was really controlled by brands, big brands that everybody knew, from Mr. Potato Head and Monopoly and etc. And so in order for us to survive, and essentially our story is we'd come up with this tiny little novelty toy called an Earth Buddy. And it wasn't even our invention. People were doing it around the world. All we can take credit for is having done it in North America. And it turned out to be a huge success. That's a story unto itself. And we ended up selling a couple of million of them in North America in about 9 months' time. And we ran our own factories. It was a disaster. As I say, that's a speech for another time that could exist on its own. And but needless to say, after the Earth Buddy was done, a lot of the buyers said, well, what are you guys going to do next? And at that time, we hadn't really decided to become a toy company. We were open to anything. We were trying to figure out what was our next step. And at that time, we came across a real discovery. And I think a lot of people have brought things to Spin Master over the years, but I guess this is something that I was passionate about. I was looking through a toy magazine, and the only reason I was looking through a toy magazine is we had sold the Earth Buddy to different types of outlets. We sold the Earth Buddy to anybody that would take it, but everybody from sporting stores, department stores, clothing stores, but we also sold it a lot to toy stores. And so it was really a lot the toy guys, the toy buyers that were saying, what do you guys have next? And so we had this subscription to a toy magazine called Playthings. And in the very, very back, the last page, there was a page that was called Inventors. And there were the names of all of these people in tiny, tiny writing. And I started to call these people, and it turns out that these people had different ideas, different toy ideas, some of which they had had in their closets for many, many years. And then also some of the inventors had sold in many famous toys before. And we started to go visit with these people, and they started to show us ideas. And that was really what started us on the road to innovation. It was the combination of, we had no choice but to innovate. We would never have survived because we didn't have any brands. There was no Monopoly. We had no Monopoly. We had no Slinky. We had no Rubik's Cube. We didn't have any of those things. And so our only chance was to, we had no training wheels to start. We had to just come up with new ideas on our own. And it was in collaboration with a lot of these inventors and going out and visiting with them that started us down this path. And I think that's the first note that I want to make about innovation, is that innovation is really about collaboration. And it's such an important part. And I can look every one of you in the face and say, we wouldn't be anywhere today without the relationships that we developed with the inventors, and still have to this day, 30 years later. They're among the most important relationships we have, because those relationships essentially represent our future, right? A lot of our new products come from the inventor community. And of course, over time, we learned how to innovate ourselves. And essentially because of that, innovation was always in our DNA, because we started with it, because it was what started us down the road in the first place. And then of course, it was what kept us going down the road. So that's a little bit of the story of Spin Master and innovation. And the other thing that's very important is that as you grow in any type of company, anybody that's been in a large company or that's been in a small company, particularly as it starts to grow, will see that innovation really struggles. Because innovation is like a delicate flower, right? It's so fragile and anybody can knock it down. And I'll leave you, I was told only to speak for 3 or 4 minutes, so I'll leave you with this last thought. I look at my job now as I move into slightly getting older, I'm 51 now. I look at my job as changing, and I look at my job as trying to educate the next group of people that are to come in and run Spin Master, but also go on to do other things in their life at other companies. And so I see my job as the protector of innovation. And the way to protect innovation, it's very, as I said, it's very delicate. And it's very easy to destroy something at the very beginning. You have to think about an innovation as an infant, or as something that is one step away from dying. And so I was in a meeting the other day, and someone showed this. I thought it was a really interesting concept, and immediately in their minds, people go to why something, maybe it won't work, right? Well, it's going to be too expensive. Maybe it's not right for this. Yeah, there's too much competition here. So I think, I was, I thought this was my moment. I showed my Superman chest and I said, guys, you have to give it a chance to breathe. You have to nurture the idea. And instead of thinking of all the reasons why it will fail, why don't we start to think about the reasons on why we can make it succeed? And since this is a story, and I know I'm speaking to a lot of Eastern Europeans, I want to tell the story in this sort of spirit of Rubik's Cube. And I'll just spend 60 seconds on this. Rubik's Cube is such an interesting product, because if you look at it with a traditional toy lens, like if I put on my toy glasses and I look at it, if someone showed it to me today, I would look at it and I wouldn't even give it a second look. I would say this toy is destined for failure. For sure, it's destined for failure. And why? It's hard. It takes too long. It doesn't have lights and sounds. It doesn't float in the air. There's so many reasons why this toy would fail if you didn't nurture it and if you look past it. And that's really the genius of the Rubik's Cube, right? Which we're so fortunate we purchased it recently, and it's such an honor to be associated with it. because not only has it become one of the toy brands that we're talking about, it stood the test of time. How many years now? Almost 50 years. But it's an example of how delicate an invention is. And that thing is what's so amazing about it is that it's got a play pattern which has stood the test of time despite all the technology, all the things you guys were talking about. Here's this simple little cube. Can you solve it? And those words, can you solve it? You look at it, you think, of course I can solve it. How hard could it be? And yet it has captured people's imagination and grown bigger than ever over the last 50 years. So there's a great example of something that should not have failed. Too hard, takes too long to figure out, not exciting, all those things. And yet it found a way. And not only did it find a way, it became incredibly successful, and millions and millions and millions have been sold around the world to this day. So I hope that leaves you guys with a couple things to think about as you work within your own companies from a humble toy guy. So thank you so much for having me, and I hope you enjoyed what I had to say.
Ben, thank you very much for your inspiring thoughts. I actually found it when you were talking about it, and I cannot still solve it, so I wouldn't say it's easy. I will try to work on it after the event. Thank you for being with us.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. It's my pleasure.
We know that your company has offices in Warsaw, Bratislava, and Budapest, right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. And it's the Bratislava office is very important because it's the central distribution for, I think, all of Europe.
So I can also say that the message to our participants today is look at our region, think of the investment and think of the opportunities in there.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you something. So I'm Eastern European. By three of my four grandparents were from Eastern Europe, Hungary and Romania and the Czech Republic. And I can say the thing about the Europeans, they're very, very smart, and they have an incredible work ethic. So listen, my grandmother was tough, I'll tell you. As a 35-year-old man, I still couldn't take her. She could beat me down in a second. So we're very proud of our association with Eastern Europe, and it's a very close one. And I had the chance to visit Hungary for the first time just before the pandemic, and I went there and I had an amazing time. And I got to hang out with all the people in our office, and they're just very hardworking people. And so it's very exciting for us to be associated with Eastern Europe and continue to build there, right? Because I think like I say, it's not easy to find smart, dedicated people. And I think the Eastern Europeans are very smart and dedicated. They're really hardworking.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
So we staying with this thought. I totally support what you said. And now, thank you very much. And now we're moving to our Warsaw office, where we gonna ask for few remarks from Katarzyna Pliszek-Kamińska. She is the Trade Commissioner of Canada to Poland. Kasia. I hope Kasia can hear me.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to present to you today. I'm actually one of a team of 6 Canadian trade commissioners working in Warsaw. Each of us focuses on different sectors. My focus sectors are information and communication technologies, life sciences, so anything healthcare and pharmaceuticals related, and agriculture and processed foods. But the team in Poland also covers a variety of other sectors such as clean tech, automotive, and aerospace. So depending what specific industry you're interested in, I will be able to either answer your questions myself or direct you to one of my colleagues. And in these 5 minutes that I have for my presentation today, I'd like to provide you with some basic information on Poland and the Polish market and opportunities here. As Romy already mentioned in his introduction, Poland is the largest market in CE and actually one of the largest markets in the European Union overall in terms of number of inhabitants, so potential consumers of Canadian products. With almost 38 million people, it is now the 5th largest market in the EU, after Brexit, of course. So Poland is often considered the gateway to the CEE region, so many companies planning to enter the region enter the Polish market. In terms of GDP growth, Poland has had a history of positive GDP growth since 1995, with the annual average being 5%. So it is amongst the highest sustained growth in the EU and worldwide. And this has actually led to the recent transition of Poland from developing to developed markets. So now Polish GDP is at the level of GDP in Portugal. So Poland not only has a high number of potential consumers, but they are also increasingly wealthy. Canada's trade with Poland has grown at a faster rate since CETA was provisionally applied in 2017, which Romy has already mentioned. Poland imports mostly highly technical products from Canada. The top 3 categories in 2019 included aircraft and spacecraft, medical instruments and devices, and machinery. So there is already a good basis of exports of Canadian innovative solutions to Poland. So since Poland is a large market, there are opportunities for innovative technologies across a variety of sectors. I'm going to touch on a few here, which are the most relevant to the topic of the event. But please feel free to approach me also during the networking session later on if you would like to discuss other industries. The value of the Polish IT market currently amounts to about 16 billion Canadian dollars annually, with about 50% of that going to hardware. Since Poland is a developed market already, double-digit growth times are over for the IT industry, but still numerous opportunities exist, as most sectors of the economy lag behind the EU average in digitalization. To give you an example, only 26% of Polish businesses have an ERP system, which is 8 percentage points less than EU average. But at the same time, there are sectors in Poland which are ahead of other countries in implementing innovation, such as the banking and insurance sectors. For example, the Polish bank PKO BP was awarded by Retail Banker International for having the best mobile app in the world 2 years in a row, in 2018 and in 2019. Overall mobile banking penetration rates in Poland are among the highest worldwide. So PKO BP and many other Polish corporations are actively scanning the market for innovative technology solutions, which could, among others, enhance their customer experience or improve their process efficiency. We at the Trade Commissioner Service have a working relationship with many of those corporations, which allows us to introduce Canadian solutions which meet their needs. In the clean tech sector, opportunities exist primarily in water management, treatment, and protection, with focus on urban water policies and circular economy. So, for example, using sludge as biomass. Another interesting subsector now is the wind energy supply chain, as Poland is beginning to move away from coal-powered electricity generation to renewable resources. Polish healthcare remained underfinanced in relation to Western Europe for many years. Pre-COVID, the government undertook obligations to increase public healthcare spending, and following the pandemic, it is probably going to deliver on those obligations. Poland has a large hospital network with one of the highest numbers of beds per 1,000 inhabitants in OECD. But at the same time, there's a significant shortage of medical personnel on all levels, which creates opportunities for automation in the healthcare sector. Also, almost 80% of medical devices are currently imported, mainly from the EU, US, and Asia, but also from Canada, as I mentioned earlier. Poland has a similar demographic profile to Western Europe, with a high proportion of the aging population. So demographics will be a key driver for opportunities in the so-called silver economy. These opportunities will mostly be visible in healthcare, but also in other sectors of the economy. So I think I have already exceeded my 5 minutes, so I will close my presentation with this. I would like to once again encourage you to drop by the Trade Commissioner table to find out more about the opportunities in Poland. Even if I will not be able to answer your questions myself, I will definitely be able to redirect you to one of my colleagues. So I thank you for your attention and enjoy the rest of the InnoV4te event. I hope that I said that right, Natalia.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Kasia. Now, very fast going to Zach Łabieniec, who is the head of Toronto office of Polish Trade and Investment Company. Zach, I still can't see you, but you are here. Perfect. Zach, floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalia, and everybody else. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect. So I've been given the difficult task of getting through this in 3 minutes. So I will do my best. Wish me luck. Okay, so quickly, I'll just share my presentation and get to it. So hopefully everyone can see this now and in presentation mode. Are we clear? Are we good?
Good.
There we go. Okay, so just quick little high-level look on who we are and how our agencies support economic relations between Canada and Poland. Our sort of Polish Investment Trade Organization is well known through the partners here, but for all the viewers who are not familiar with it, we are a crown corporation supporting Polish entrepreneurs in foreign expansion, as well as supporting investors interested in doing business in Poland, sort of through the FDI scheme. So similar to our friends from the Trade Commissions Association, as you've already met. How do we do this? Closely with the companies through market insights and business intelligence. We act as the first point of contact locally for all our Polish exporters and investment opportunities from Poland to Canada. We identify partners, arrange B2Bs, trade shows, workshops, investment advisory, you name it. We sort of try to do a little bit of everything from A to Z in the concierge service. We work very closely with our partners, as you can see, through the Consulate, which is who we're here with today, and with MSZ, so Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and our PFR group, which is the Polish Development Fund. Hard to talk about Poland without discussing the physical transformation and continued investment in infrastructure. With over 20 billion investments slated for a new airport, the central transportation hub, which is linking all of Poland, modernization, extension of new rail and road networks, and expansion of the only deepwater container terminal with LNG capabilities in Baltic. Poland represents many opportunities for international partners, but also further facilitates Poland's realization of being a central hub, a strategic location linking the global markets from east and west in the EU. When we look at Poland overall, what it's known for and where our staple industries include the automotive and electromobility and the aerospace, which is a traditional sort of legacy sectors that we're known for. Poland is pivoted quite heavily in the automotive and become the fifth world leader in supply chain of electric mobility batteries, and first in lithium-ion production batteries in the EU through investments spearheaded by world leaders in the industry such as LG and most recently Northvolt, which invested 100 million in Poland. The aerospace sector is quite well known and developed. It's a history over 100 years. Sector continues to be a leading innovation hub in the EU, led by a strong R&D center in the Aviation Valley, southeast of Poland, where OEMs such as Pratt & Whitney, Sikorsky, Augusta, Westland have established themselves. For today's presentations and sake of time, I'll just quickly jump into what we consider our staples, our most well-known and developing industries, which is the business services sector and research and development, more so through the ICT and fintech and gaming side. So when it comes to Polish IT, companies are a world leader through exceptional quality, affordability, hardworking attitude, and ease of communication, where 90% of the population speaks English and ranks first in Central Eastern Europe in English Proficiency Index. And there's already why many Canadian companies choose to work with Polish developers. We are first leaders in the EU, in Central Eastern Europe, for fintech, as mentioned by Kasia earlier. Poland is at the forefront of technological advancement in Europe in the implementation of modern payment banking solutions, contactless payments, and with the highest penetration in mobile banking in the world. AI, 260 Polish companies offering AI solutions with approximately 33% having majority of revenue obtained from abroad. Gives you an idea of how well integrated and in demand Polish AI is. And obviously, how can we talk about Poland ICT without what I consider to be our most valuable asset, is our human capital. And for today's sake, I would say best developers in the world. Some of my colleagues might have something to say about that, but we always stand by that statement, ranked heavily by HackerRank as top 3 in the world in development, number 1 in Java, and second in algorithms. And again, that comes back to the traits of the affordability, quality, hardworking attitude, and ease of communication between the international world and the development scene in Poland. And obviously, potential is recognized by the world's largest tech companies. We can talk about a lot of investments too that I want just to mention quickly that are important to us because they happened during the crisis of the pandemic as well, the height of its pandemic in the world and in Poland. And 2 of the world leaders, Google and Microsoft, still considered the biggest investments in the Central Eastern region of 2 billion by Google in a new cloud data hub in Warsaw, and 1 billion invested in a data center by Microsoft in Poland. And Buxy, Dogplan, and Brainly are some of the companies, highest valued startup companies in Poland, relating it back to the fintech and ICT sector. And I would like to finish off quickly with a picture. No, this is not me in a gaming sort of VR picture, as probably the hair gave it away. But I would just like to mention that we are more commonly known as the national brand of gaming in the world from Poland. We're very proud of that, and it's become a top. Poland has become a top player in the industry. And like I said, it's quickly becoming Poland's national brand, and highlighted by the Witcher series, which a lot of people are familiar with. If you're not, it's one of the best-selling video games of all time, by CD Projekt, which is a Polish developer and a leading game developer in the EU, with a market cap of approximately 8 billion, or around 6 billion today over the last couple of months. But at one point, actually passed France's Ubisoft as the most valuable developer in Europe. And it's something that we are very proud of, especially now because they're a trendsetter and a catalyst for over 400 gaming companies in Poland, achieving approximately 97% of revenue from exports and releasing over 480 games annually. It gives you a little bit of context of how developed the industry is. Obviously, due to time and restrictions, I'm not going to dive into any more of the sectors, but as some of our colleagues already mentioned, the innovation in the clean tech sector is something we would like to talk about, including the recent developments in the offshore wind power sector off the Baltic in Poland by investment of none other than a Canadian company called Northland Power, which is an environment and renewables company investing 100 million in the offshore wind power tech. So at that point, I'll cut it off. Natalia, I know that we're really tight for time, so I'll give the floor back to you, and hopefully have a little bit more opportunity to meet everybody and discuss in the networking session post the presentations.
Thank you very much, Zach. That's true. We're running a bit late, but I hope all of you are still with us and can't wait to ask more questions to our today's presenters. So, finishing this session, I would like to give the virtual floor to the last speakers from Slovakia, and we will start with Mr. Milan Harustiak, who is Trade Commissioner of Canada to Slovakia, for his 3-minute remarks. Milan, please join us on the stage.
Yeah, the basic role is to assist Canadian companies to export and establish on the, but also for the Slovak companies. I work on the sourcing in Canada request to help to source new technologies, equipment, materials, and services for their operations. Just to be short, within the 3-minute speech, for Slovakia, I can say that whatever was said about the innovation intensity from the other V4 countries is valid also for Slovakia. Local businesses here in Slovakia are trade-oriented, operate also on neighboring markets, so Canadian companies could benefit and establish regional center, regional location in Slovakia. So having a presence here, either distributor, importer, RD partners, allows you to serve countries around, including Austria. You heard about the example, the gentleman from Spin Master named Slovakia as the main central point for. There is one big difference within the V4 country. Slovakia is the only country which has adopted euro as a currency. 2009, so 12 years already, Slovakia is using euro. That makes a difference for Canadian companies in Europe. It makes their business financial planning much more reliable, avoiding unpredictable changes of local currencies in other V4 countries. It's important, especially because heavily in the international value chains, manufacturing and R&D in basically automotive electrodes, like lithium batteries is big innovation, IT sector, medical devices sectors, source of sciences. The cooperation and trade. Someone is give of successful R&D operation of very Canadian and Slovak companies. For instance, company Communications from British Columbia, recently a major designer and supplier of remote solutions, companies in smart cities category in Slovakia. So it's a major R&D for them. They keep it here. Another which is active and innovative IT and telecommunication solutions, also for military, as an R&D and design center in Slovakia. It's also the opposite way. Slovak company has said the major, one of top world suppliers of cybersecurity software has established R&D center in Montreal. So those are a few examples. Other opportunities are within clean tech, it's renewables, very active hydrogen program, water, clean water, and so. In ICT, it's basically cybersecurity, very strong gaming sector, fintech. Because Slovakia is heavily involved in
Thank you very much. I don't know if it's my email, my internet connection, but I'm a bit losing it.
Briefly, the next part of the event with the Trade Commissioner's table.
Thank you very much. I think the connection wasn't perfect, but I hope you can hear me. And now I would like to give the virtual floor to Marek Kopanicki, the person who is representing Slovak Investment and Trade Development Agency, to finish this part of our conversation. I also would like to mention that Marian Adam, who is the deputy head of mission at the Embassy of the Slovak Republic in Ottawa, is also with us. So if you have questions to Marek and to Adam and to Marian, please ask them during the networking session.
Exactly. Thank you, Natalia. Thank you for having me. I hope that everyone can hear me and can see my screen and my slides. It's indeed my pleasure to greet you all from Bratislava, Slovakia, the city which was already mentioned a few times during this event. As said, I'm a consultant of the Slovak Investment and Trade Development Agency. We are a typical IPA, so our core activities count for investment attraction and then promotion of foreign investors and foreign trade support of the Slovak companies abroad. Nevertheless, I would like to draw your attention also to our in-house made publications or industry overviews of more than 10 sectors of the Slovak economy. One of them is brand new and describes entire R&D and innovation sector in Slovakia. As you can see here on the slide, and later on you can also click on it on this slide, as I believe that this slide will be available and will get to you after the event. Last but not least, among our services is also something what we call innovation sourcing, which in practice means that we are able to find for you and for your company suitable Slovak business partners according to your needs. There are more than 300 innovative and tech companies in our database in sectors such as automation, robotization, and digitization of the industrial processes or Industry 4.0. If you want VR, AR, clean tech, green tech, aerospace, or e-mobility, and many others, out of which I have chosen artificial intelligence and machine learning to speak a little bit more about. I believe some of the companies, you can see their names already on the slide number 2, might be present also in the audience, as we invited them to this event. Here again, you can click on all of these hyperlinks and be redirected then directly to the websites of these companies. Most of them has a fully Slovak origin. For instance, the second one, Exponia, was recently acquired by famous California-based world leader of e-commerce experience, Bloomreach. You may also know IPsoft company, a company which has developed Amelia and a conversational AI-based digital colleague who is prepared to solve millions of tasks simultaneously. This is not a Slovak company, however, one of its 14 locations is in Košice, center of Eastern Slovakia, where dozens of IT developers work on Amelia's improvements. Lastly, allow me to mention also KINIT, or the Campbell Institute of Intelligent Technologies, which gather prominent IT experts with foreign experience and deals with topics such as AI and machine learning, data analytics, cybersecurity. We are also pretty strong. Mr. Harushtiak already mentioned ESET, very famous Slovak company, and etc. Overall, the main message out of this for you, out of this slide, is that there is a quality innovation ecosystem in Slovakia, and not only in AI and machine learning, but also in other fields, and feel free to discuss them with me and my colleagues on the table in the networking part. My last slide is devoted to the Canadian footprint on the Slovak market. There are several companies active in various industries such as automotive, food processing, or IT consulting. The last 2-3 bullet points are particularly important because I personally visited both Magna plants located in Slovakia, Magna Mirrors and the Magna Powertrains during last year, and I can confirm they're highly advanced and both robotized manufacturing processes, as well as their overall satisfaction with the Slovak business environment. At the same time, hopefully this is going to be reaffirmed again also by inflow of new Canadian investments coming to Slovakia, as we do currently have 2 Canadian origin projects in our investment pipeline. So that's it from my side for this short time. I will stay here with my colleagues also for the networking part, so please do not hesitate to contact us, to join us at our Slovak table to discuss potential business links with Slovakia, either in the investment or innovation field. Thank you once again for your attention, and I pass the word now back to studio to Natalia. Thank you.
Marek, thank you very much. Marek's presentation is finishing this part of our event, so we're shifting into the networking part. But before we started, let me introduce you to one more expert or experts that we have today with us. I have a pleasure to welcome our friend Angelika Nowak, who is Executive Director from the Polish-Canadian Chamber of Commerce. This organization is gathering Canadian companies that are present in the Polish market, and also the specialists can today answer all of your questions that you have regarding doing business, especially in Poland. So Angelika and her team are going to be available with a table during the networking session. Last but not least, we have with us Bart Delen from Toronto Global. He can answer your questions if you would like to start your business in Toronto area. So he's also available for your questions. So for the networking part, we have 2 floors. Floor 1 is dedicated to particular industries that we hope we cover today during the presentation. So we have AI table, circular economy table, healthcare and biotech, and IT services. And if it's not covering your type of business, we also have special other sectors tables. So feel free to join the tables to talk to the companies from V4 countries and from Canada, to exchange the experience and to ask questions. And if you like to meet our experts that were presenting today, you have to go to the second floor, and then you have the tables for each country. Also, there is a special table for Jose, so Toronto Board of Trade, special table for Canadian, Polish-Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and the last but not least, special table for Canadian trade commissioners in V4 countries. So you can ask them questions, exchange the contacts, and start the cooperation that we all of us hope for. And still having your attention, the nicest part of the event, I would like to thank all of you participants for being here with us. We hope that this event is going to start new cooperations, new friendships, and new business opportunities. And special thanks to all of our amazing guests today. Your help, your presentation really made this event special. And last but not least, special thanks to Venture Cafe Warsaw. It's always a pleasure to work with you, and I hope for much more cooperation. So thank you very much. And now we're moving to the networking part.